Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about the new Pixar film Lightyear. This is a spin-off film to the Toy Story films, and it's also kind of the origin slash reasoning behind Andy wanted that toy in that first Toy Story movie of the Buzz Lightyear toy. So we kind of explore the origin of Buzz Lightyear and kind of the things why he has the action phrases that he does from the Toy Story films when you press buttons and stuff. So basically, that's what this movie is. It's not really Toy Story 5, but it's more so an origin story of Buzz Lightyear and kind of the movie within the Pixar universe that Andy saw that made him want the Buzz Lightyear toy to begin with. But overall, guys, in this movie, basically Buzz Lightyear and his Space Ranger team, he's a Space Ranger from those Toy Story movies, basically they're trying to figure out hyperspace. They're being sent on these missions all the time that are really dangerous. All the rookie Space Rangers are always getting hurt, and Buzz hates working with them and things like that. But for the most part, they're trying to figure out hyperspace. They're trying to figure out how to safely travel through it so they can kind of pursue their missions better and be able to pursue it more safely and things like that. And so basically, while Buzz is trying to explore this, they send him basically to figure this out first. While he's trying to travel through hyperspace, he accidentally travels forward in time, and a lot of his former Space Rangers and friends have all aged significantly. And so basically, every time he tries to fix it, go back to present day, he manages to go even more forward into the future. So basically, he's finding out how to go even forward more in space, forward in time and go to the future. But he doesn't know how to travel back in time, unfortunately. And so basically, over the course of this film, he has to figure out what can he do to go back to present day. Is there a way to travel back in time in hyperspace? Is hyperspace strictly just future time travel thing? You can only go forward into it, but never backward into it. So basically, these are all questions that Buzz has to figure out over the course of Lightyear. And he also runs into trouble along the way too. But overall, guys, I thought this film was okay. My thing with Lightyear was the trailers never really blew me away. Like, they interested me enough. I clearly was going to go see the film. I'm a big Pixar fan. Grew up on the Toy Story film, so I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. I knew that in and of itself was going to intrigue me to see this film. There's things about this film that I do really like. There's things about this film that are really good. Pixar has obviously made way worse films than this. But they've also made way better films than this. I wouldn't put this film in the same league as like those four Toy Story films. I think all four of those Toy Story films are significantly better than this movie. But there's like things about that I'm going to go over my positives and negatives of why I do like this film, why I think it's good enough to see, maybe a good rental one night. But for the most part, what's kind of holding it back from being a good Toy Story movie overall. So for my positives and negatives of this movie, the more realistic approach to the animation in this film I thought was brilliant. They really do make it look like what would be probably live action films in a Pixar universe. So it does really look like Andy going to the theater, seeing a bunch of live action performers performing this story on a film set somewhere. So I do like the more realistic approach that they did to this movie with Buzz's realistic looking hair, and they do keep like his chin and stuff like that from the toy. But for the most part, they do have a more realistic looking animation that I think really does pay off here. You can definitely tell they spent a lot of time and energy into the animation of this film. And once again, Pixar knocks it out of the park from an animation point of view. Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear I thought was a lot of fun. At first it was a little weird that I thought they didn't just cast Tim Allen again as the character, but thinking about it some more and Pixar kind of having statements about the movie, it does kind of make sense that they probably would hire a different voice actor to voice the toy, so it's a little cheaper for the toy company, even though they can keep like the catchphrases and all that stuff from the movie. So it does make sense that they had to recast somebody as the character. But once again, Chris Evans does a great job as Buzz Lightyear. If you loved him as Captain America, I think you're really going to like him in this role. He's just a lot of fun playing the Buzz Lightyear character. Socks the cat was a fun addition to this movie. Basically, Socks was a little robot assistant to Buzz throughout the film. Peter Sohn, who's directed some other Pixar films in the past, so he's actually a director now turned actor also. Voices this character. Just a ton of fun. If you like cats at all, if you just like cute animals being in movies, I think Socks the Cat's really going to do something for you. Whenever the character shows up, has a catchphrase, tries to help Buzz out. It's just a very fun character to watch on screen. And I do like the overall setup of Andy's favorite film, and this is kind of the story that was in the movie that he saw that made him want the Buzz Lightyear toy. I thought that was pretty clever. It wasn't just, oh, hey guys, we're making a Buzz Lightyear movie now. There actually is a story behind why Pixar decided to do this movie. Um, I think it is kind of a cool idea of this is kind of the movie that people in the Pixar universe saw that made the Buzz Lightyear toy a really popular toy in their universe. So that idea in and of itself to get the story up and going, get the story started, I thought was pretty clever. Some of the comedy I also thought was very effective in this film. There's a character in this film that's supposed to be the granddaughter of a former friend of Buzz Lightyear, obviously with him going forward into the future. Some of his friends, way into the future are not alive anymore. And so basically he does team up with the granddaughter of a former friend of his. And a lot of her comedy works really well. Taika Waititi, who's appeared obviously in a lot of comedies at this point and has a lot of comedic timing in Thor Ragnarok and Free Guy and things like that. He has a voice role in this movie that he's one of the Space Ranger friends in the future for Buzz. He has a role that has a lot of comedic timing as well. So if you really like kind of his sense of comedy, I think you're really going to like what they do with Taika Waititi's character as well. So the comedy, for the most part, is pretty effective. There's a couple of jokes where it's like, oh, that didn't really land for me too much. But for the most part, some of the comedy here does really land really well. I think Socks the cat in particular gets a lot of funny moments in the movie. For my negatives of Lightyear, though, I think this is a very straightforward story. This is kind of the perfect example of a very straightforward story for a movie. It's one of those movies, unfortunately, where they explore the sci-fi genre, but in the most generic way. You can definitely tell they're borrowing from Alien and from Star Wars and from Star Trek and some other things. So it's just one of those stories where you can tell where the creators were borrowing from, but they never really made the film their own. If you're going to go full on parody, did what Spaceballs did with Star Wars. Really bring home the parody stuff. Really bring home the comedy. If you're going to go the Star Wars route, make it serious. Make us really care. Make us dramatically interested in the story. I think this very straightforward approach makes the film feel a little generic, and unfortunately with this being a Toy Story film and those 4 earlier films just getting rave reviews over the years, I think that's something that Lightyear's going to not time as well as those films did. I think this film will not age as well as those films did. I think because it is such a straightforward story and creativity is kind of on the back burner of this movie, it's clearly being inspired by great sci-fi films, but it's not really doing anything with its own identity with those sci-fi films. So very straightforward film for me, unfortunately, and I think that does hurt the film quite significantly. And that goes on to my next point. I think this is the first Pixar film in a long time where I can say it just didn't feel as creative as it should be. There's just a lot of moments where it's just like, did they really spend any time at all kind of creatively deciding, how to make the film, how to make the best possible creative film? Yeah, Socks the cat is cute and stuff like that, but it's just like they probably should have done something a little more creative here. It does feel a little generic. I also thought more Toy Story tie-ins would have helped the movie. There's a character, if you haven't seen the film yet, that is significant to Toy Story 2 that shows up in this. And obviously Buzz Lightyear himself shows up in this, but we don't see Woody, we do not see Rex, we do not see Mr. Potato Head, we do not see Ham, we do not see, Bo Peep or any of them. I thought more Toy Story tie-ins would have been kind of cool, like maybe through the time travel sequences. Maybe Buzz does end up in the past at one point but can't do it again. Maybe he runs into Rex in the prehistoric era, or maybe he runs into Woody in the Old West or something. I think something like that would have kind of tied it in a little bit better, made the film more creative, like I just said. So I think more Toy Story tie-ins, I think, would have helped this film quite a bit. And like I said before, this film is a very generic sci-fi adventure. Everything feels borrowed. I just really wish that the film could have found its own feet and its own identity. It just feels like it's just kind of borrowing from everything and never really becomes its own film. And like I said, I think Pixar is better than this. I think Pixar, they're one of the best creative, best animation studios in the world. They've given us so many great films in the past. Even earlier this year, I thought Turning Red was a great movie. It was great and original. It was creative. I don't know if I could really say the same about Lightyear. I think this is an okay film. But I think there's things about the film that really kind of hold it back from being part of those great Pixar films that we've had in the past. So I'm going to give Lightyear a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's okay. I think there's things about it that are great. Like I said, the realistic animation, Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear, Socks the cat, the story set up for why the story's being told, and some of the comedy I think does hit in the movie. But like I said, there's just a lot of things about the film that really wear it down. So 7.5 out of 10. I think it's an okay film. I think if you really do want to see it, either see it in the cheap seats in the theater or wait to stream it. You don't have to skip it altogether. I don't think it's that bad. But I personally just thought it was okay, and it's good enough to rent it or to see it maybe one time, but I don't think it's going to be the Pixar classic the way that those other four Toy Story films have become over the years. So 7.5 out of 10. It's an okay film. See it with caution.